Okay, so here we are, August 1st, and as you can see, the entire grass area behind me is fried completely. It has been so hot, so nasty here in Maryland. We've had some of the hottest early summer days on record. And this has really tortured the grass a great deal. As you can see behind me, around me here, you can see all this is just crispy. But here's one thing, this isn't the Zoya that we planted. It's next to the Zoya we planted. So if you follow me right here and you look, you can see this is the Zoya that we planted. If you look over here, that is where we stopped. Huge difference between the two. You can see Zoya's drought resistance capability has helped greatly. Of course, we've watered this agreeably, but we've also watered part of that, and it just didn't make it. In here, it's beautiful, it's soft, it's doing great. We've been mowing it low, and I'll tell you some of the tricks we're doing now, okay? First of all, weeds like this crabgrass sitting right here, if you can see, we do spray that, and we spray that with Drive, which is a chemical I mentioned earlier. You have to be careful of. It's a crabgrass killer. You can find it on the web, and it does work, but I had to cut the amount I put in there to maybe like a tablespoon per gallon, or maybe just a slight more. I didn't put a lot in there, okay, because I found it kind of hurt the Zoya. When I cut it back, it seemed to do good, but I spot spray it. I don't spray the whole thing. So be careful, again, trying to get rid of weeds. Eventually the Zoya will fill in, these weeds will give up, and you'll have a good chance of getting ahead of the weeds. But if we look here, take a little bit wider shot, you can see all down here, everything's green behind me. Does that look nice?
Yeah.
Does it look like a golf course? Yes, it does. Now remember, this is the area that we had before that was all, one of the areas that was all torn up. That was basically, we just had covered. Even the ducks like it over there.
Yeah.
Now it is a little windy. You might hear that wind in the mic. It is quite hot today, but windy. Storms are coming in. But the nice thing is this grass has gotten in here strong, as you can see. And no storm's going to take that out now. Again, we had our cover on it, our Curlex. We had this all covered. As soon as that grass came up and started to poke its way through after a couple weeks, we took that off. The weeds went right through it, which I kind of expected. And we pulled that cover up and just got rid of that because we didn't want it to really stop the Zoya from getting full sun. As you can see right now, it's really full sun. We got a little wind. We're walking through here. There's the ducks. Can you zoom in on those ducks, cameraman?
Yep,
got 'em?
he got the ducks, and they're going away now.
Yeah, the ducks are going away. Zoom back out.
Yeah.
Okay. Through here, we have had a particular weed try to come through. It's a very thin weed, not a crabgrass. Haven't had much luck killing that, and I'm afraid if I find a grass that kills that, or a herbicide that kills that, it's going to kill the Zoya also. Again, we got a lot of wind. Come on a little bit further. And we got some spots in here that are a little light. If we look down here, we can see the Zoya. And you can see really young Zoya right here. And what we're really after is this Zoya will spread, and it's going to send out runners. And to be honest with you, I haven't found any scientific way or reasoning why some Zoya sends out the runners and others don't. I can tell you one thing though, that Zoya likes to communicate with other grass. There's no doubt once one runner gets out here, and this is a small one here, once these runners start coming out, here's one, they have roots on them. Now keep in mind, this has runners on it, it's only a couple months old, and this is from one seed right here, just that spot. That's one seed only. It's sending out one runner, and it's trying to communicate with the other Zoya. That's the best way I can describe it. Kind of sets up its own network. And one of the problems is, if you put plugs too far apart and it can't network, and then you get hit with a bad winter, the Zoya is more likely to die. It seems to like to intertwine, network itself, and if it doesn't do that, maybe it just doesn't feel too comfortable and can't find its friends. I know that sounds weird, but not really. If you look at other types of plants, like a bean, for instance, it'll wrap itself around something to grow, or a vine or an ivy. It does that once it touches something else. It knows what to wrap around and how to grow more upward, and gives it strength. I think Zoya works in a similar fashion, where these runners, here's one, you can take it, the cameraman can take a look at that, and you see the root that it's already made here. It's going to send these out and make these across. These are tough, these are strong, and can take quite a bit of beating. Now, the nice thing about this is that it spreads, self-replicating. It doesn't seed, it starts sending out these, which is true of all Zoyas. But this Compadre Zoya, one of the things about it, it's going to stay a little darker color. It's going to stay a little longer in the winter, green, and it's going to green up a little quicker in the spring. This is true with the Compadre and the Zenith Zoyas, and not the Meyer 52, which you see a lot of out there. That's going to be your most common Zoya you find. A lot of farms have it. The thing with that is it's not a seed variety. It only is a plug variety. So you're only going to find the seed variety probably in a Zenith and a Compadre, unless they make another hybrid. Here we can see this has gotten really thick over here. And if we look up here a moment, this is where we planted last. So this is not filled in all the way. That sort of dividing line right there that you can see. If you sweep up that way a minute, cameraman sweeps that way, okay, you can see and bring it back. Again, we got a lot of wind. Great deal. Come back this way, sweep back. Yep. Okay. You can see up here, this has been really new coming up. If you come up here, we can see some really young Zoya right here. You come in a little bit closer. Okay, so this is like really young Zoya right here, and it's pretty dry here. Okay, even though I watered today, this is really dry. So this is a problem with this. At this level of seedling, you really got to keep it wet, or it's going to die on you. It's going to dry out. This stuff can really withstand some heavy drought, but not at first. These roots have to work their way in. And I've heard a lot of stories that they can go down 4 feet, these roots. Well, that kind of distance, of course, they can pull a lot of water deep out of the ground, and that keeps them from drying out, where a regular grass might only go down a few inches in depth. It can't really absorb that much water, and that's what keeps it drought resistant, besides its slow growth. However, in the seedling area, it doesn't have that benefit. So at this level, as dry as this is right here, as you can see, this is really dry. Even though we put a lot of soil conditioners and things in it, that's going to need some more water. So as we move over this way, kind of the contrast here is that they're up against these bricks where this garden is, the Zoya would not grow. And no matter, I seeded it a couple times, it died every time. You're going to have spots like that happen. They're going to be shady spots. They're going to be spots that just aren't really, for some reason, don't want to grow. So what we did was, if you remember, in the first part of the video there, we explained the plugs. We made our own plugs and put them in Jiffy potting soil, which was those little round discs. And then we put the seeds on top of that and then let it come up over a couple weeks. That's what these are. We just put those in the ground, and now they're doing fine. They have no problem at all. So that's really an excellent way for shady areas and areas that don't want to grow. You simply take it and put it in here. Look at this runner that's on there. This is huge. It's got a really nice runner. It's spreading itself across. It's running here too. Of course, again, I'll note that when it's running this way, it's connecting over here with this one, and this one's connecting with this one. So again, they seem to reach out and try to connect with each other, but not all of them send runners. Like this one and this one are not sending any runners at all. This one isn't sending any runners, okay? This one over here is. So it's difficult to really understand the science behind what. If you look out there, there is our Zoya grass. It looks pretty good. It looks really nice. It's very green. This is 3 months. You would not be able to do this with plugs. There's no way this would cover in that way at all. And a matter of fact, with as hot as it's been, probably a lot of those plugs would have died if you hadn't stayed on them completely all the time. This we did have to water all the time. We took a lot of soil preparation to get this right. This is tough, not easy raising this grass, but quite rewarding, as you can see, when it is going. Because if you look up there, all in that area, that's all dead grass. And that was all green before, but it just couldn't withstand this drought that we're having right now in this extremely high heat. Alright, so this is Mark Burnett and Mark Burnett Jr. behind the camera talking about Zoya or Zoysia, depending on how you pronounce it, grass. Again, this is the Compadre version. And we thank you for listening to this. It's been kind of an interesting experience over the last couple of months making this work. But it looks really, really good. So hopefully you'll have success if you try to raise Zoya seed. And Mark Burnett Jr., thank you for listening.